Hello there, and welcome back. NESN around, NESN.com, podcast about a whole lot of nothing. I am NESN.com's Mike Cole. That's NESN.com's Ricky Doyle. Ricky.
Still here.
We made it through a week.
We did.
We're back for week 2. I thought the first week went about as well as could have been expected. I think we've got some big things on tap for this week.
This week, I'm fired up this week. I'm full of piss and vinegar, so let's just get down to it. And mostly, some of it stems from predictions we made last week. I mean, I was right. Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, that's true. All right, yeah. So if this is your first time joining us, which it probably is, judging on the number of views we got last week,
plenty of room on the bandwagon.
There's just a whole lot of nothing. We're going to go through, talk about things that happened in the week of sports. We'll look ahead to this coming week. Try to do it a little bit of a lighthearted approach. Before we get into this week, last week, whatever, well, we'll have to revisit last week's show. We finished with a guarantee of the week, a bet of the week, whatever you want to call it. We're still not even entirely sure what we're going to call it. I'll start with mine because it was not good. I said that the UConn women would win the national championship by 50 points. They did not win the national championship by 50 points because they didn't even make it to the national championship. They lost in the semifinals in just absolutely heartbreaking fashion.
Did you specify which year?
No. But so next year, I guess it's still open.
So, yeah, that's still on the table.
They haven't, or maybe 2 years from now. I don't know. So I missed on that. Yours, though. Your prediction,
Speaking of technicalities,
yeah,
I might be able to get off on the technicality on mine. We're going to have to go into the hood and check the footage.
Your prediction last week was that the University of South Carolina
would win the national championship. Now, did I specify men's or women's?
I mean, we'll have to go to the tape.
We'll go to the tape. We'll go to New York.
Yeah.
We'll go onto the hood right now. We'll see what they got going on up in Toronto. We'll all come together and come to some sort of agreement here. So we'll leave that one open.
Yeah, I would be throwing my challenge flag right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But
you said South Carolina won the national championship?
I did say that, so that was my prediction.
The men did not. They lost to Gonzaga in the Final Four. The women, however, they did win. The South Carolina women won their first national championship, so not entirely wrong. Good for you, I guess.
How you hedge your bets.
Yeah, I would say so. We'll have bets, guarantees, predictions, whatever it's called, at the end of this show. But now let's get into something we did last week. Changed it up a little bit. We did a little viral breakdown, which was a smashing hit.
Yep.
This week we're going to do a little bit differently. We're going to look at a little Rob Gronkowski. I think is a hot button topic of the
last week, obviously, we broke down LeVar Ball's basketball prowess or lack thereof.
Yep.
This week we're going to take a look at Gronk and the big week he had on tap. Huge weekend. This offseason's in full swing.
Physical weekend for him.
Very physical. From a guy who played 8 games last year.
Yeah, no kidding.
We'll just get right into that.
Yeah, we'll start.
Started off on Sunday.
Sunday night,
started with a bang.
An event that you and I were both pretty excited for. Rob Gronkowski showed up at WrestleMania. Shouldn't surprise a whole lot of people. He injects himself in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Helps out his buddy Mojo Rawley. Rawley, former college football player himself, played at Maryland with one of Gronk's brothers. Cites the Gronkowski family for a lot of the reason that he's so successful. Anyway, not to bore you with the minutiae and the details, Gronk eventually gets into the ring, as you just saw. Gets in a 3-point stance and just delivers a crushing body block to Jinder Mahal. Really just showed some good explosiveness.
In hindsight, this just his appearance in general was very predictable.
It was.
I feel like they've been kind of building towards that for a while.
And it was especially predictable once. I mean, as soon as they got out of the ring, they're like, "Oh, that's Gronk."
Even the camera angle, the way it was set up, was very similar to when The Rock had that segment with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
The way they panned over and you saw Gronk, and I was like, "All right, here we go." But how's he gonna get involved?
And Jinder Mahal spills a beer on Gronk, and that's one thing that you don't want to do with Rob Gronkowski. He seems like a lighthearted guy, but if you spill a beer on him, that seems like a good way to really piss him off, and
what a just novelty WWE superstar to interject into the Gronk appearance.
Mahal. I mean, I guess you don't want to make anybody, Jinder Mahal's got nothing going on, right? I guess, so you might as well
really dig into the lower card.
Yeah, it's so that was that. Mojo Rawley ends up winning the Battle Royal. Gronk gets in the ring, celebrates him. And apparently that was, Gronk probably jetted fast. There wasn't a huge celebration because roughly, 16 hours later, not even, something like that, he was back in New England for a surprise appearance at Fenway Park at the Red Sox home opener. This was I don't know. I mean, we can get into this a little bit deeper, but this was interesting.
Some of the optics of it. Well, in getting back to, well, if you take a look at this here, just the big moment of the opening day thing was obviously the chase around the
Great
infield.
photograph.
Yeah, there you go. Perfectly encapsulates all that went down at Fenway Park on Monday. But yeah, the chase around the infield with old jersey.
Yeah.
It's
playing on
adorable.
some of the most overplayed sports stories that I really don't care too a whole lot about. I mean, Tom Brady has a Super Bowl jersey stolen. We get it. Then they found it. Show up at Fenway. Gronk steals it. Brady tackles it. And just a scenario that really, I can't think of some sort of interaction that could have gone. There's such a huge level of outcome. I mean, they weren't going to get hurt probably, but could you imagine if one or both get hurt in that interaction? It goes from lighthearted, haha, this is the greatest thing in the world, to like, that was probably a dumb idea.
So two guys giving thumbs up on the stretcher and getting stretching off the field.
Yeah, what if this turns into a Damian Jackson, Johnny Davis situation?
Exactly. From a physical standpoint, obviously the WrestleMania one was much more risk-taking, for lack of a better way to put it. And, immediately once that happened, once he stepped in the ring, I'm like, this is going to send Patriots Twitter into
Which is
just
stupid,
complete and utter firestorm here. Naturally, it did. The Patriots reportedly okayed his appearance, which, is whatever. So, I mean, do you have any issue with the Patriots okaying something like this? Like I mentioned earlier, he played 8 games last year. He's had about 700 surgeries over the past few years. Back issue. I have no issue with it, but there are people out there that are a little concerned that he, mixed it up a little bit.
Have you ever seen the behind-the-scenes footage of Gronk, hanging out with his brothers? This is a sort of roughhousing that goes on in the Gronkowski household day in and day out. I mean, I'd be more concerned about the twerking, not from not from the fact that I think it's like unacceptable or inappropriate. It's like that's a guy with a bad back. I wouldn't want him, doing some aggressive dance moves.
Right.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't like. This is something, like, he doesn't get hurt doing these kind of things. He gets hurt on the football field because he busts his ass and plays.
Because he's helicoptering at the 50-yard line after trying to get a few extra yards.
Nobody else takes. It's like, this doesn't bother me at all. None of this really bothers me at all, other than the fact that it's kind of a little overplayed at this point. I'm kind of reaching a point of Gronk fatigue, which is my problem.
Put it to bed. That was one of our segments last week. It'd be a good opportunity to do that here.
Yeah, and it's not anyone else's problem. It's not the Patriots' problem. I don't like the okay doesn't bother me at all. It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
It's the guy's off season. Let him live. It's a good opportunity for him.
And by all accounts, this is something he wanted to do. I mean, it's kind of been discussed beforehand. So I have no problem with him going out and being like, this is my one opportunity to be at WrestleMania. I'm not going to look back 10 years from now and be like, damn, I wish I did that WrestleMania thing. That would have been a good time.
Well, and that's the
go
thing.
do it. Screw it.
If he comes
not
out
to get all existentialism on you and the meaning of life, but come on.
Well, and the thing is too, if he comes out and shreds his knee this year, and his career is done, and like 3 years from now, nobody's going to care about him. It's like the sad reality of what this whole thing is.
Yeah.
I understand that people here in New England love him, and I think he's going to have a fond place in Patriots fans' heart for a long time. But like in 3 years, the WWE is going to come calling.
Yep.
So make that money while you can, make that appearance while you can, and go crazy.
I mean, and on the surface, you would think that the Patriots really have nothing to gain by it. But if this is something that he comes to you and you request, and you can appease him by doing it,
right? Exactly.
Pick your battles.
Yep.
You know what? If he wants to do it, let him do it, especially if this is a guy that you figure to be a part of your long-term future, which I think they do. So.
Or if you don't think he's going to be a part of your long-term future,
tell him
you go nuts.
Yeah, have at it.
Yeah, nothing gained, nothing lost by this. It just is what it is. But
he doesn't need an excuse, that's for sure.
No, that is for sure. All right, moving on. Let's. This is something that you and I have been looking forward to.
I've been staring at this thing for a while.
We're gonna go back.
Creepily.
We're gonna go back a couple. About a week now.
Yeah.
There's an interesting backstory on this. Soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo. We didn't do a whole lot of soccer coverage on this show. Well, we were 1 week into it, but I don't foresee you talking a lot about soccer.
No, although I might come up a little later.
Right.
Stick around for that.
Unless there's something like this. Cristiano Ronaldo, really good soccer player, or so I'm told. He's from Portugal. There's an airport in Portugal, in Madeira, Portugal, that has been renamed the Cristiano Ronaldo Madeira International Airport. It's a tiny airport, in a little really small part of Portugal. But hey, if you get airport named after you. More power to you.
Nice.
This guy, Emmanuel Santos, he's a sculptor, supposedly. It comes out, and as part of this thing, in one of the terminals, they were going to put in a sculpture or a bust, or whatever you want to call it, of Cristiano Ronaldo. And our good friend Emmanuel Santos set the internet on fire with arguably the worst sculpture of one of the best-looking humans in the entire world.
He's a handsome guy.
He's a very good-looking guy.
This is just a complete and utter slap in the face.
This is not a good look for him. Sculpting seems really hard. It seems hard, but maybe you find somebody who's got a little bit more talent, experience. And I just feel really bad, making fun of this guy for making a sculpture, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It wasn't the Tom Brady courtroom sketch, but that's like we said, a good-looking man. We've got it on the screen now.
No, I mean, as you just said,
his face looks crooked. I don't want to say he's got a little Bell's palsy thing going on, but it's
making a sculpture is a huge undertaking.
Yes, it is.
As you alluded to.
It's not something you want to do.
And it's one of the reasons that I think, when you have in Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame sculptures, they always just weirded me out. Even the baseball,
even
with the
baseball,
plaque,
right?
It's just, I don't know.
You're never gonna look good in bronze, I guess.
It's just kind of, it's strange to me. But it seems like it's a huge pain in the ass to do.
I mean, look at the eyes and the teeth. It's just.
But yeah, so I got several issues with this. I mean, the teeth being first and foremost. I don't know if he's got something caught in him. He looks like the homeless guy from Dennis the Menace.
I was exactly about to say he looks like a bronze. That's the guy I was thinking of. The homeless guy with the baked beans.
The hobo guy.
Yeah, that or he looks like
the baked beans guy.
Yeah, he's the baked bean guy, or he's a bronze extra in the Goonies or something. Yeah. I don't know.
His eyes are very. They look like two pea holes in the snow.
Yeah, it's going every which way.
Speaking of handsome devils.
And that's the thing. This is not a great look.
The courtroom sketch of that Jane Rosenberg did of Tom Brady, because immediately when you see that fantastic work of art that is the sculpture, your mind obviously goes to other areas of other great works of art, and that being just a masterpiece in its own right.
To Jane Rosenberg's credit, she defended it first, and then eventually kind of just played along and was fine. But
I'd like to hope that this guy has that same kind of self-awareness, because he doesn't initially.
Not yet.
No. He's
not
still
yet.
in the.
This is my favorite part of the whole story.
He's still in the let's defend this stage.
And I imagine this guy. I don't know if he's Portuguese or whatever. So this. I'm almost fairly certain that this has been translated, so it's not. It's always going to read a little weird. Well, let's get into this. This is the defense of Emmanuel Santos.
Because we want to know your excuse. Unfortunately, this guy has an excuse.
It is impossible to please the Greeks and Trojans, he says. Neither did Jesus please everyone. So now he's comparing himself to Jesus.
We're bringing JC into the picture.
This is a matter of taste, so it's not as simple as it seems. What matters is the impact that this work generated. It did generate an impact. There's always the possibility of making a difference. I was prepared for all of this. The difference he might have made was that he made Ronaldo, one of the best-looking men in the world, look like a bronze version of the hobo from Dennis the Menace.
Beans guy.
So he made a difference. I used as a base some pictures of Cristiano Ronaldo that I found on the internet, nothing specific. I put the photos next to me and started working on the bust. I love this idea that the guy, and I guess that's what you would do, but just the idea that he's sitting there with his laptop,
Google imaging, Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not something where they came to him with a specific photo and were like, this is kind of use this as a sense of direction. No. This guy was just flying by the seat of his pants, going right to Yahoo, going right to Asking Jeeves.
Binging it,
yeah, what does Cristiano Ronaldo look like? And then this is what he came up with. He must have got a pretty bad photo. He must have got one from some Christmas party in 1999. He had a little too much to drink.
Yeah, this is
up or something.
Or maybe this is
a very unflattering
from
photo.
The awkward teenage years of Cristiano Ronaldo or something, middle school Ronaldo. Yeah, the teeth aren't all jacked up. It's just he had braces and headgear.
Whatever they play.
But they signed off on it. Cristiano saw the photos his brother sent him, according to Santos. I was with the brother at Cristiano's museum in Madeira, which is a museum. And from the messages he sent, I could tell he liked what he saw. He only asked me to change some wrinkles to give him a certain expression in his face when he's about to laugh to be changed. He said to make him look older and ask for it to be thinned out a bit and to make it smoother and more jovial.
Let's disregard the dental hygiene aspect.
But they gave it. I love that. He said it made him look older. He was concerned about looking older and wanted to look happier, and now he looks
You reap what you sow.
Like C3PO is in a horrible car accident is what he looks like at this point. All right, so it's easy for us to sit here and just, make fun of Emmanuel Santos. Is that his name? I don't forget his name.
Yeah, Manny.
Manny Santos, Jaden Rosenberg. It's, art is something where you have to put yourself out there. You're vulnerable. I mean, we do it with this podcast. We already feel like dope's enough. Writing is the same way. But, we thought it was only fair that we kind of put ourselves out there in this artistic medium as well.
We don't want to be hypocrites, that's for sure. We want to show off our artistic wherewithal.
Or lack thereof.
And so that's what we did.
Yeah.
We took it upon ourselves to roll up the sleeves, get the old hands, sharpen the pencils. Sharpen a pencil for the first time.
I did too,
in a long time.
It's invigorating. It's like, I'm not even going to get it.
Yeah, so in other words, we didn't use pastels.
Right.
We used the number 2 Ticonderogas. And we came up with something, what I believe to be not bad, not bad characters. We'll leave you guys can play the role of judge, jury, and executioner if you'd like.
So we'll get
but this is Mike's work right here, and this is outstanding. The attention to detail on the mustache is top notch.
It took me about 15 minutes. I don't think it's terrible, and it's a little bit of a reference point on the left. It's Tom Selleck and Mr. Baseball. The one on the left is the movie. I'm not the one on the right.
I couldn't even tell the difference. I'm glad you pointed that out for us.
My drawing is clearly on the right.
I thought it was the other way around.
In case you didn't know.
Yep.
But I didn't. That's not the one I used on the left. So don't use that as a point of reference. And the one that I drew, he's looking off to the side. So that's why the eyes.
It's got a lot of the key ingredients.
A little
you
weird.
got, like I said, the mustache that looks like
the mustache is
looks like you just took a little brush, like a broom.
I did the mustache a little too big, and he had a turtleneck on. That's kind of tough to draw.
You got the more of the. It looks like an orange slice mustache.
Yeah. Well, he's got a very well manicured mustache. I mean, that is the Tom Selleck.
This is true, yeah.
And drawing a batting helmet was a little harder than I expected it to be.
I imagine if you had more room to work with, you would have accentuated the hair on the arms, the hairy guy.
Well, his arms weren't even on the, that's the other thing. In hindsight, I probably should have used the Tom Selleck in the bathtub scene from Mr. Baseball to really accentuate details. But so that's what I did.
No, I like it though. He's looking off into the distance.
I honestly don't think it's horrible. Mouths and noses are hard. If it weren't for mouths and noses, I think everybody can draw a portrait. So
that's nice.
Not terrible.
All right, so I stuck with baseball. I wanted to incorporate baseball somehow. In basically the way I thought of it, because I thought back to the statue, and I also thought of the Shaq statue that just got unveiled, and I thought to myself, what sports moment would I like to see just perfectly come together in the form of a statue? What would I like to see immortalized in bronze? And I thought to Jose Canseco's home run, the home run going off his head, bouncing over the fence, because really it was either that. Or it was Randy Johnson blowing a dove to smithereens with about 100-mile-an-hour fastball, or the picture of David Ortiz pouring milk on Coco Crispet. So there were really 3 things I narrowed it down to. I went with Jose Canseco, because I just thought it made for the best visual of it all. And I also used strictly lead. I didn't dip into the oil painting or.
You gotta crawl before you can walk.
And I also just used regular paper. I didn't turn to the easel at all. And so we'll take a look at that. I don't know if
God willing, I think you're just stalling at this point to allow our producer Andre to put the.
Well, we're trying to get it up there. It seems to be some sort of an issue. So let me just paint the picture in your head. Guy's going back to the track. All right, he's got this thing sized up. All right, it's a deep fly ball. Crushes it. And here it is. This is what you think he's got it sized up. He's got the glove up. He's ready to make a play. And boom goes the dynamite. Off the old noggin, over the fence for a home run.
I love the...
I really beefed him up a little bit.
It was that time of... that era.
Which I felt was unnecessary. So mine's a little more cartoonish, I would say.
I like the... I don't even know what you would call the... The whoosh coming off of his head. Yeah, I don't even know what you would call those, but
it's there. It's animation purposes. I tried to incorporate some shadows into the jersey. Now they just look like pinstripes. But
you know what, you did a great job of. Yeah, the shadows of him on the field. I like that where it doesn't. Yeah, the shading is very good. So.
That's there for the warning track.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is hanging out of his left ass cheek?
His rear end, his gluteus maximus. Those would be batting gloves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Batting gloves.
Batting gloves.
Yeah, there you can see.
There, those are batting gloves.
It looks like a beaver,
I wasn't sure it was
tail.
that tail. I thought it was a beaver tail.
But no, it's batting gloves.
Okay.
And he's also got the wristbands. He got a lot of accessories.
Yeah.
One thing I struggled with was the amount of flow, the amount of lettuce to give him. I opted for a shoulder length. It's more of a mullet. It's in the mullet mold.
It looks good.
I probably could have spruced up the sideburns a little bit, but it really maybe if I have one real critique, it's that he looks a lot like a fly or a lizard. The eyes.
With the pointed nose and ears, I could see him maybe in Dilbert.
Yeah, he looks, or some sort of villainous character.
Yeah.
In a children's cartoon.
Oh, he kind of looks like, Gru's brother in Despicable Me, I think.
Lack of a chin, but like the eyes, he looks like a fly.
Yeah.
Or a lizard, something like I could just picture a long tongue coming out of his mouth.
Blah.
Maybe you should have used that to catch the baseball, but. There it is.
Yep.
There it is. Great muscle definition. Obviously a guy that's going to get up there and hit some bombs.
Yeah.
So.
Artists, we are not.
No.
So it's, we're going to make fun of people. We'll give it to ourselves as well.
All in all, not bad.
I didn't think it was terrible.
I mean, we could take a mulligan on that.
Yeah. Speaking of mulligan, let's get into
the distributor.
What we're going to call the weekly mulligan. This is the weekly mulligan, something you'd probably like back. And I don't know who we assess this to necessarily. But we're going to talk about Lexi Thompson, LPGA golfer.
I think it has to do with golf, so we thought this would be a good way to kick off this particular segment.
Because it's not really, I guess it technically is Lexi Thompson's fault. Well, I have some thoughts on this. But they're playing, it was a major golf tournament. She's, playing really well. Going into Sunday.
2 strokes ahead at the time.
Right, looking to make to win a big golf tournament, big purse. On Saturday, she lines up a putt. Picks up the ball, puts the ball back down. Watching the replay, you can see her move the ball. It's a good inch, maybe a few centimeters. It goes unnoticed. Saturday.
First mistake was using her particular ball marker. I would have used the Ritz cracker. Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
That's your go-to ball marker.
So it goes unnoticed. Nobody really has a problem with it. Saturday goes to Sunday. Somebody at some point calls in the LPGA or whatever I don't know if it's that, the USGA governing rules body, and says, you know what? A little something shady about that.
Funny business.
Points out that she did advance the ball. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to put it back right where it is, or at least the side of it. So she advanced the ball. When you watch the replay and you know that's what she does, you can clearly see it.
Yep.
She's assessed a 2-stroke penalty for that infraction. She's also assessed a 2-point penalty for signing an incorrect scorecard, which is garbage. That part of it really drives me bonkers. It's like, if you didn't see, I can kind of see retroactively giving her the penalty stroke for doing what she did, but if you're not assigning the penalty stroke at the time, how is she supposed to know that when she signs her scorecard? It's ridiculous.
So it's inherently, you're going to get a 4-stroke penalty.
There should be a 4-stroke penalty for...
It should just be that.
Right, yeah.
Because, it's almost impossible to have the second portion of that entire penalty without the first portion.
So it's a 4-stroke penalty when it's all said and done. That really hurts her. She's in position to win. Eventually, she's still tied for the lead at the end of the tournament with So Yun Ryu. It goes to a playoff, and Lexi Thompson loses in the playoff.
Yep.
Everybody comes out and says, this is so bad for Lexi. The golf world was up in arms, including, I got a quote here from Phil Mickelson, who's preparing for the Masters this week. He kind of, they asked him about it. He didn't want to answer. Eventually circled back and did answer. He says, to have a tournament be decided like that with all scenarios going around, as far as viewers calling in, as far as it being a 1-foot putt with really no advantage, just a little bit of loose marking, if you will, something that happens all the time, intentionally and unintentionally, I think it should be reversed. I think she should be given the trophy. First of all, that's not going to happen. You can't go give her the trophy now. Because Phil Mickelson's pissed off.
This isn't the Oscars, you're not giving away the award and
that's
yanking
a good point.
Right back.
I don't know. I look at this and bummer. I guess
the big issue here is not, for me, the 4-stroke penalty sucks. It's worse than Deflategate. It's bold. It's completely egregious. But the issue I have with it is they inform her this on Sunday. The actual infraction happened on Saturday, and the only reason they caught on to it was because somebody decided to write what amounts to a strongly worded email.
Yeah, if golf wants to be this big, like
viewers were regulating this all of a sudden, what are we doing here?
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah, and that's the thing. If golf wants to be so, I mean, this is the golf culture in a lot of ways. We're so big on the rules and things like that and etiquette. Then have somebody paying attention to this. If you didn't do your job, it's like you don't go retroactively go penalize a team because there was holding on the final play of a football game.
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
Based on the testimony of Bill Wilhelmsen or Tommy Jones down in Seekonk, who just happens to see it on his 8-inch TV and says, whoa, Lexi, and let's dial it back here.
Yeah, it's just at the same time though, like watching it, it's like hey, she did move the ball. Like don't.
She's certainly in the wrong.
I don't feel as bad for her. It's just kind of a crappy situation. A colleague of ours, Ben Watanabe, made a good point. I was discussing this with him this morning. Maybe he was a gambler. I hadn't thought of that. That makes a lot more sense.
It has to.
It doesn't have to because golf is like golf. I could see a bunch of old dudes at the country club just sitting around watching it, be like, "Oh, did you see that? Well, she moved it. She moved it."
My thing is, if it is a gambler, there's certainly some other deep-rooted issues that they probably have to iron out at some point down the line if they're putting all their stake into an LPGA major tournament. Right. But second of all, I'd love to know the timestamp on this email.
Yeah.
Because this strikes me as something where, it might be a little late at night. Maybe the booze are kicking in a little bit, and you're like, get to the bottom of this. Rather than hit the home shopping network and buy a fryer later, you decide no, I'm going to send a strongly worded email to the LPGA about this golfer who's in the lead who happened to move the ball about an inch tops. I don't. Which got me thinking, could I ever envision myself getting so worked up about something that I send a strongly worded email about anything really?
No.
I'm not a big email complainer.
You always look worse when it's all said and done. Like I won't complain at if I go to a restaurant, it has to be like I am in danger of getting sick to even send back my food.
It has to be something vile. I could get the wrong food. I could order a steak and get chicken, and I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna grin and bear it.
Yeah.
Because then I get real nervous about if I send it back, what they're gonna do to the food after. But that's a me problem.
Yeah, it explains a lot about us as people too.
Yeah, well, I don't trust anybody, so that's really where that stems from. But so as far as an email goes, so it had to be something vile, reprehensible, something that is just gonna give me diarrhea for a month for me to even consider writing an email to some manufacturer or whatever. Or something that cost me a significant chunk of change financially in the online marketplace. Those are the two stipulations for me writing a strongly worded email.
Could have been what happened here. Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'll let it slide to an extent.
Just find a better hobby than gambling on.
So that goes to like I said, that's a bigger picture issue there. It's
not a good sports bet.
I'm more of a passive aggressive guy when I get pissed off. Yeah. It's just that's the best way to get under somebody's skin. I mean, there's really no getting around it because that person got stew on it, and I mean that's a story for another day.
We're grumpy. We're talking about golf. Let's get off the ledge. It's Masters Week. There's
reasons to not be grumpy.
This is something we're both looking forward to. The Masters without Tiger. I'm a big Tiger guy, so I'm not entirely looking forward to it. I know I'm supposed to look forward to it, therefore I am looking to it. And once the weekend rolls around especially, I'll be excited to watch it. The Masters screws itself over with its ridiculous lack of TV coverage. It's 2017. Get off your high horse. If you want to keep charging people $2 for a cheeseburger, more power to you. Like you want to pretend you live in a different world down there. Great, good for you. You know, be sanctimonious, fine. But just put your product on TV for Christ's sakes. It's just annoying. But even as we're sitting here trying to talk about things we're excited for, I find a way to complain.
Yep.
But one thing I do love about the Masters, we're not gonna break down the field or anything. I love that this is the start of the spring nap season.
It's a beautiful time.
There's nothing better. The Masters. I mean, CBS coming in and out of commercial with the piano music. Jim Nance alone. The voice is velvety smooth. And that's one of those things where you don't feel bad if you fall asleep on a Sunday afternoon at about 12:31. You wake up at 3 in time to watch the leaders play the last 8 or 9 holes. You're living life.
You don't miss a whole lot.
Right.
That's the thing is you get the soothing sounds.
Yep.
Anything where you kind of whisper and they talk very quietly, I'm okay with taking a nap to that.
Yes, definitely.
So you have that factor, and then it's just the fact that you can take an hour nap and you're not even gonna miss a whole lot. It's nice. You go back.
You can do that. You can do it all golf season too, but it feels better during the Masters, which is weird because it's such a great event that you don't maybe not want to miss it. But hey, if you nap, you nap.
As long as you wake up for the very end on
right,
Sunday.
and that's all you're going to, unless you're Andre, our producer, who naps from 4 to 10 every night. It seems.
Especially during the World Series.
World Series is game
October.
over.
It's just a total mess for him.
Yeah, you try to get him on the horn, and it's like I was asleep.
Yeah,
it was 5:30 in the afternoon.
Ever since I started going to the gym, I don't nap anymore.
Oh, he doesn't nap anymore. Okay, sure.
Well, maybe you should. You're hacking up a lung when you come in and talk.
Okay, yeah. Maybe next time before you buzz in, clear the phlegm. Let's talk sports that are best to nap through. We'll do our top 3. What is the best sporting events that can be on the TV and that you don't have a problem napping through, or it's easiest to nap through?
Just let nature take its course.
Right, yeah,
and,
that's the thing.
You wake up and
Sundays in the summer, if I fall asleep, I fall asleep.
The most tranquil sporting events. Power rankings.
You want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so I'm gonna eliminate Masters in golf.
Yeah.
For the sake of this argument, because we already went over the reasons that it is just a great thing to nap to. Poker. Poker's tough because generally it's on late at night.
Yeah.
So it's like poker after dark
That's
or whatever.
not napping.
So it's not really napping.
Sleeping.
It's sleeping. But if you do catch poker in the afternoon, or early morning to late morning to early afternoon, they also have some of the intangible elements. So they're actually very tangible.
Yeah.
That I like to look for in a good napping event. You get the sounds, it's just the shuffling,
the chips.
and the chips.
Yeah, that's very,
all of the
sounds like a rain stick.
The conversation. It's just nice, scintillating discourse. It's not not diving a whole deep into things. You don't really care. You don't have a vested interest. I mean, nobody watches poker and says, "Wow, I'm a real big Chris Jesus Ferguson fan." You know what I mean? You're just kind of watching because it's on. So the same thing for spring training and baseball.
Yep.
I mean, baseball is another one in general that puts a lot of people to sleep.
Right, yeah.
But especially spring training. You get into those later innings and you start dealing with, player one, name first, last, and you kind of drift off, whatever. You get some guy who's going to end up playing in, high A to start the season, maybe in the Florida Gulf Coast League. You don't really care. And you just fall asleep, wake up in the 7th inning, whatever. Third one. This is my dark horse here. It's the World's Strongest Man competition.
This is ridiculous.
And maybe it's unfair to even include this because I don't really see the World's Strongest Man competition that much anymore.
Yeah, when I saw your selection,
so maybe I'm dating myself a little bit here. I'm thinking back to when I was in my prime, the glory days of napping. But I just remember it was late up. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock. I feel like it was always on. Get home from school or something. Throw that on. Yeah. It's just. First of all, it's tiring to watch. I mean, you get a guy lifting up what amounts to a round ball that probably weighs about 8 tons. A guy towing a truck. It's just what it lacks in the
guy's doing a long toss with a tree pole.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's not really soothing when you put it that way. But what it lacks in the calming undertones, it makes up for in the really I just don't give a crap and we're going to throw this on TV.
You're not using your brain.
Yeah.
Right. It's really, I'm surprised you didn't bring up preseason football.
That's what I told him too.
Preseason football.
As I'm going to get to, there's a difference between napping and passing out because you drank too much.
Right. So the World's Strongest Man competition. I don't know if it's on anymore, but I just remember taking plenty of naps to that.
They were
because
on, yeah. It was on every day on ESPN2.
It's just it was ESPN2, the great TV filler, and it was like who were the guys? Magnus Samuelsson, Marius Pudzianowski.
Yep.
His nicknames, I'm like, who the hell are these guys? Bam, wake up, got Samuelsson, the beast in a log.
Future segment, World's Strongest Man or Swedish hockey player. We'll have to write that one down. I like that list. It's a decent list. I like my list better.
Clearly.
Obviously, it's my list. I'm going to start with pretty much any NASCAR race. I like NASCAR. I really enjoy watching NASCAR. And other than like the Daytona 500, there's almost a 95% guarantee every week I'm falling asleep at some point during the race. You talk about the soothing sounds of golf. You don't necessarily think of cars driving around a track at 180 miles per hour. 40 of them making a ton of noise is something that's soothing. But when you get into a rhythm and every time
chopping wood, that's another one I think they did in the
That's true. They did do chopping.
Wood chopping.
Well, there's the whole thing. I mean, you could do the lumberjack competition as well. That's a whole other thing. But at a certain point, even the sounds of cars driving around tracks at 200 miles per hour, that becomes rather soothing.
Yeah.
And again, a ton of cautions, things like that. It's one of those things where if you fall asleep for an hour, you're not missing a whole lot probably. Maybe you miss a wreck or two, but it is what it is.
You're going to catch up.
You're going to see the end of the race. So I like that. That's a good nap one. I mean, a lot of these happen to happen on Sunday afternoons because Sunday afternoon is the best day to nap as well. So that is what it is. This is a Saturday one. The Kentucky Derby. This is risky. I did right here. This is a risky proposition, taking a nap during the Kentucky Derby. But if you're a gambler,
it's a quick nap.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh, man.
It's not during the Kentucky Derby itself. It's during Kentucky Derby coverage.
Derby.
That's the thing. It's very risky. But if you're a gambler, if you're a drinker and a gambler, it's a big day for you. The coverage starts at 12:01 with the race actually happening at 5:30.
Yeah.
So you're going at it hard. You're getting your bets in. You're drinking your mint juleps. You're doing all that. You might pass out. Like this is what I'm saying. There's a thin line between passing out and taking a nap. But you gotta be sure you're up in time because there's a good chance you missed that race because it's about 45 seconds or however long it is. So it's very risky. You're playing a risky game. But hey, we had to each come up with 3 events, and it's harder to do than it seems.
Yeah, no, I understand because the coverage, the pre-race coverage, you're basically just trotting around horses.
Right. You're just looking at all the rich people.
Yeah,
hats,
people just very relaxed in their element.
Yeah.
I know. So I see where you're going with that.
And finally, I'm going to go with the Olympics. Summer, winter, doesn't matter. I'm not a big Olympics fan as it is, but if there's nothing else on TV, maybe you throw on the what did I write here? Cross country skiing or maybe there's water polo on, and you're like, there's nothing on. I'm going to watch this as least competition, and 2 minutes in, you're snoring on the couch.
Yep.
So the Olympics.
I actually made a habit of napping during the second and third quarters of the late games on Red Zone Channel this fall. It was incredible.
I actually did the same thing. I've gotten to the point, maybe this is me getting old, but like by about 4:30, maybe not 4:30, about 5:30 in the afternoon on Sundays, I'm like, this is a lot of football. I could use a nap, and then that's more of an accidental nap.
Well, and then you get the late game that night, which
that's
seems to get later and later. So you got to pace yourself.
It's hard. It's getting. I've never felt as old as I do. And it's like I'm like I don't want to watch the late game because I've watched so much football today. It's tough. Hard life. All right, we're gonna get out of here pretty quick. But before we do, we're gonna do show and tell.
Show and tell. The segment made famous on the spread.
The spread.
Our NFL picks podcast will be bringing back. Speaking of the NFL and speaking of show and tell, plug that real quick.
Yeah. I guess I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Let me just get my notes here because there is some stuff I gotta really get to here. But
I know you were really racking your brain over this one.
I hate show and tell. It sucks. But hey, if people like it, I don't care. I got a stapler. This is a stapler, a nice swing line stapler. Doesn't matter who it is. I wish the NCAA referees in the national championship kind of came across a stapler early on, took this thing, undid it, however you do. I don't know how this works here, but undo it, take their whistle, and just staple it to their chest.
Right,
a little violent, sure, but just staple those whistles to your chest because there were 44 fouls called in the national championship between North Carolina and Gonzaga. 5 players had at least 4 fouls. 9 of the 18 players, that includes somebody who got in the game but didn't register a full minute. So it's really 9 out of 17 players got at least 3 fouls. That means more than half the players had at least 3 fouls over a 40-minute basketball game. Zach Collins, an NBA draft prospect, arguably the best player in that entire game, picks up a one of the worst fouls you'll ever see. Full 5 minutes, or I don't know when it happened, but he fouls out with 5 minutes left in the game. I mean, and then the times that they, didn't blow the whistle, there was Kennedy Meeks is standing with his foot out of bounds, or his hand out of bounds. They missed a travel on the big Polish dude. And Gonzaga, it's just a horribly officiated basketball game. I think the final was like 71-65, no flow. Again, that's partially because they're playing a basketball game in a football stadium. Just I was down on the NCAA tournament this year. It wasn't really impressive, and I think that was a fitting end to it. Not a good basketball game, in large part because of the referees. If only they had a stapler to staple that whistle to their chest.
Yeah, that game should have been good, judging by the score, the amount of lead changes, the amount of ties. That should have been a good game in theory, but there was just, like you said, there was no flow. No flow whatsoever. All right, so for my show and tell, it's a topic that I have mixed feelings about, really, and I know our producer, Andre, certainly does as well. Or maybe he's just disappointed in general. Either way, I'm bringing in a headset, which it has to do with Tony Romo trading in his cleats for his headset, retiring from the NFL, and going into broadcasting.
Right.
Immediately being thrown right into the fire, too. Taking over Phil Simms' job, we discussed Phil Simms and maybe when he passed gas, so and in the final weeks of the season, that has something to do with it. Who knows? But so Romo now is going to be broadcasting. He's the lead game analyst on Sundays at CBS. I think he's going to do a pretty good job. I think he's going to be very good at this. He seems very well spoken, very intelligent guy, personable, likable guy for his. I mean, very polarizing quarterback. It's just based on on-field results. But I think off the field he seems pretty likable. I mean, I tend to like him, so I think he'll do a good job. But I have mixed feelings because I still think this guy can play a little bit. And I still think he's better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And I'm not totally sold that he is retiring.
No, I
think that by that comment saying he's 99% retired or 99% sure he's retired leaves the door open just that much. And I think that if there comes a time, I don't know if it's going to be, if it's going to be mid-season or whatever. I don't really know the particulars of a CBS contract. If all of a sudden he could just show up in Week 14 and take over the Texans once, Macho Man Randy Savage down there starts throwing picks up the wazoo. I don't know if he can just do that. I don't know what the deal is, but I think at some point, whether it be this year, maybe even next year, he's gonna play football again.
I agree.
I don't think that he's done. I think that 99% left the door open, and we will. And I know we're gonna hear from him. So Andre, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was saying Cam Newton will go down Week 4, and Romo will lead the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, maybe he's just biding his time to see what opportunities open up.
That's a smart move.
And in the meantime, you collect a paycheck and lay the groundwork for what ultimately will be probably a pretty good post-playing career for him.
I'm looking forward to it, though, and also I think it's
now both Fox and CBS have Cowboys legends as their color commentators. You got Aikman and Romo.
Cowboys legends, nice.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting. The Cowboys game on Thanksgiving this year is CBS game, so Tony Romo will be in Dallas for the Thanksgiving game.
There's a prediction for you. Will he be playing in that game?
Yeah, right.
Or will he be broadcasting that game?
I do think
will he be winning the Galloping Gobbler?
Yeah, if Dak Prescott gets hurt, I think he's Romo's obviously the first guy they call, so something to keep an eye on.
So I think he'll be back. That kind of leads me into my prediction of the week because I'm staying on the topic. I know this is we teased this earlier. We're gonna give our prediction of the week. We're still working out the kinks there. Hopefully it's better than last week though. Mine for this week is that the aforementioned Tony Romo will make an appearance at the Masters. 2 topics we just touched on. The reports are that they are going to consider him for golf coverage at some point. He's a scratch golfer.
Apparently all it takes is being a scratch golfer with a good smile.
Yeah, so whether that ends up happening full time at any point down the road, who the hell knows? But I think he'll be on there as a way to maybe promote his addition to the NFL broadcast team. Just kind of hype pump the tires on that a little bit. In some capacity. I'm not saying he's going to do a whole lot, but I think he'll make an appearance at the Masters. Yeah, hopefully I don't sleep through it. Hopefully I don't have to do that. I'd like to see it.
If you do,
he
you
has
do.
to say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like it. For mine, I'm going to go to the NBA. We're filming this on Wednesday, so really by the time anyone watches this, if they get this deep into the show anyway, this game will already happen. But the Celtics host the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday. Both teams 50-27. With, let's do the math on our head. That's 5 games left for each. Tied atop the Eastern Conference. I think when it's all said and done, and this will probably be wrapped up by the time we get back next week, I think the Celtics will have locked up the Eastern Conference's #1 seed, despite Cleveland when healthy and playing at its best, being by far the best team in the Eastern Conference. They're defending champions. They have the best player in the world, LeBron James, but they've struggled recently. I think they were something like 11 and or 10 and 11 in the last 21 games, something like that. They down the stretch they got to play on the road. I think they've got 3 or 4 road games. They're not good on the road. 19-19
at each other's throats.
I think LeBron comes out and says that he's I'm not want to get caught up in the regular season. I'm sorry. I've been to 6 straight finals, man. I'm the last person to ask about a regular season game, dude. Sorry. So I think when it's all said and done, the Celtics end up getting the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is crazy. Which reminds us. When we come back next week, it's playoff time. The baseball season is going to be into a swing. We're going to be able to recap the Masters. It's going to be NBA playoffs. The field should be set. The NHL playoffs will have started by then. It's a good time to be a sports fan. So we'll have
good time for us.
Plenty of information or plenty of content to dig into.
Yeah, we can just throw crap out there.
Yep, that's pretty much what we plan to do for the really the life of this entire podcast. Is we're going to throw crap out there and see what sticks. This has been NESN Around, the NESN.com podcast about nothing.
Yep.
I am Mike Cole.
Send your drawings to us.
Ricky Doyle, and thanks to our
feedback on Mr. Selleck.
Surprise guest Tom Selleck.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
We'll be back again next week. Thanks for joining us. See you guys later.